The first block that holds people back is called an identity conflict. An identity conflict is, and you'll hear people say this, a part of me wants to do this, but a part of me doesn't. So that's actually a split in your identity where there's a version of you that wants to, a version that doesn't. You're fighting against yourself. You hear it all the time. I'll give you an example. I was working with an airline pilot one time, and he's the captain of the airline. So he's the man when he's at work, right? But when he goes home, he turns into this people-pleasing nice guy. He's like, I don't understand. Like, part of me, like, I know how to act when I'm on the plane, but when I get home to my wife, I become this mouse. I go, what would happen if you took the pilot home? He's like, I never thought about that before. I'm like, what if you were the same type of leader at work as you are at home, like competent, you got it handled? He's like, I never thought of that before. But there were these two different competing versions of himself. Does that make sense? I was talking to another gentleman. He was like, my parents got divorced when I was younger. He goes, when I was with my mother, I was one way. When I was with my father, I was with a totally different way. I was much more outgoing. And he never actually reconciled those two things together. So for the rest of his life, he's like, in some cases, he acts this way. In other cases, he acts that way. So he has this identity conflict. So the first one is an identity conflict. But the thing is, your identity isn't even real. It's just the strongest held belief you have about yourself. Your identity is your identity because as you grew up, your parents gave you a name, you grew up in a certain area, you grew up in a certain location, your teachers told you stuff, you had certain friends, and your whole identity is just a grab bag of all these different things that happened to you. You didn't even choose it consciously. And then you're defending that this is you for the rest of your life. You can create your identity on purpose. The second one, though, is a values conflict. So that would look like, I really value career, but I also value my family. And if I focus on my career, then it pulls me away from my family. Does that make sense? So sometimes things can have competing attention, and you want to make sure that all of these different areas of your life align and they're not fighting against each other. And then the third type of internal conflict, what I told you earlier, is there's a motivation conflict where the thing that you want, you really only want it because you want to avoid not having it, right? So I want success to avoid failure, or I want the relationship to avoid feeling lonely. Whenever your primary motivation is to avoid something negative, you get more of the negative. So instead of trying to focus on the what I need to do, because chances are you already know what to do, focus instead on number one, who do I have to become? But then what's preventing me from being that person in the first place? And so instead of going external and trying to do more, you already know what to do. Get rid of the internal resistance to you doing that. What you want to fix instead is number one is the identity, and number two is all the beliefs and unconscious wiring underneath that stuff. So I am not like, I do believe in hard work. I believe you have to work hard and do things and take action, but I'm also a believer of working smarter, not harder. And instead of banging my head against the wall, I would rather find out what's the roadblock stopping me and remove the block first. If you can get rid of that, then the progress will happen. But I want to find out what's holding them back in the first place.